Welcome to the world of Rowan Astrology. I'm David Charles Rowan. And before we begin exploring the gold mine of astrology, please remember to like and subscribe. This channel would be nothing without your kindness and support, so please feel free to return and explore the growing content, and of course your comments are always of value. So truly, thank you. Hello, welcome to this astrology session of looking at the astrology of Andy Burnham. His date of birth and place of birth are well known. You can find those online. What you can't find online is his time of birth. So with a couple of my long-term students, we spent some time yesterday dowsing his birth time, and we think we've got a birth time that's very close. And by close, I mean that the chart matches Andy Burnham's biography. So we're just going to double check that. And then if we're happy to go ahead, we'll then double check it again by comparing the forecast by a technique called transits at different times in his life with events in his life to see how they match or mismatch. And then we'll have a look at the future. Okay, so we're going to begin doing that now. I'm just going to get ourselves ready for having our central solar system picture that we often use. Okay, and I think someone's going to join me now as well. Hello. Hi, Sue.
Hi.
Hi, Julianne. You're there as well, aren't you?
Hi, David. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Right, so the first thing to do then is we're going to just look at this birth chart that we dowsed yesterday and verify it against some things in his life. And I've got a couple of things about that, so if you can bear with me for a moment. I'm just working out how best to display the information. Right, let's look at the chart. Here we go. Right, actually there's some info first. This is what we've determined about his life. In 1985, he joined the Labour Party at the age of 15. And that was from an astrobography perspective, in his Mars phase. He got married at the age of 30 at the beginning of his Saturn life phase. But that's a long-term relationship. Remember that the 7th house isn't just marriage as in a legal certificate. It's commitment relationships. And he would have been engaged in the Jupiter phase that found its culmination, if you like, with the marriage ceremony at the age of 30 in the Saturn phase. In this Saturn phase, it was quite successful. He became an MP. And on the 7th of June, he had his inaugural speech in the House of Commons on the 4th of July, 2001. He was Minister for Health in 2006. But in 2010, there was a failed bid to get to the leadership. He was 4th out of 4 people. In 2015, in his Uranus life phase, he urged the Pope to be more progressive with gay rights. He was at odds with the church as an MP, causing strains with personal relationships. Yes, and all the way through his Uranus phase, things have improved. So he's in the 2015 bid for the election. He came second. He was just beaten by Keir Starmer. In his Uranus phase, he's addressed different causes. The infected blood scandal, nuclear testing veterans, the Hillsborough Law, things like that. 2017, he became Mayor of Manchester. He got this driving conviction in 2023. We'll have a look at that, because if the astrology is on target, it will show something about that. The MP for Makerfield happened in 2026, and of course also in 2026 there's a potential for him to become Prime Minister. So there's quite a lot involved in getting the right chart in place. So this is the 2020, sorry, the 8 minute past 12 thing. Can you see that, guys? Is that clear for you?
Yes, it's got, yes.
Yeah, it looks sort of small to me.
It did go small and now it's got bigger.
Yeah, something's changed with the size of the image. And
It's better for me.
how's that for you? Is that okay?
Smaller.
Yeah,
It's just gone smaller when you altered something.
it's gone smaller for you again.
Mhm.
Hold on. What about that? Is that better?
No
No
change.
change.
How about that?
Slightly bigger. Yeah, that's slightly bigger. It's
Okay.
fine.
Sorry?
It's fine.
Yeah? Okay. Right. Oh, I'm quite worn out. You know, my breathing's very laboured at the moment. So I'm finding it a bit.
David, would you prefer to do this another day when you're feeling
Um,
better?
no, I want to get it
You
done.
sound okay. All right
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, I know I obviously
You
sound
just
like I'm a bit unwell, and that's because
yes, you do a little.
it's because I'm a bit unwell. Um, but let's just see what we find because I'm curious to kind of work it out, you know.
Okay.
My
Okay.
desire to kind
As
of
long as you're all right.
figure it out is stronger than my desire to kind of, you know, sit with a cup of tea and then think about the conversation we could have had. Um, you know, right. Okay, let's get some verification things. Right. So 1985, he joined the Labour Party. So there should be something prominent about his Mars. Uh, he's got Mars in Pisces. This birth time puts his Mars in the 12th. So remember we mentioned Michel Gauquelin, the French astrologer, who found that the cadent houses, meaning the ones at the end of the grouping, so the third, the sixth, the ninth, and the 12th, seem to be the ones where planets reveal themselves in terms of career path. And we know he's quite athletic. He's run marathons, he's played rugby, football, that kind of thing. So there's Mars in the 12th, which would fit with the athletic thing. But Mars rules Aries, and he's got Aries on the ascendant. So it's not a surprise that he wouldn't just think about politics, he'd want to actively do something about it. And for a 15-year-old to join a political party, that's pretty driven, you know. So that stands out for me. I think that correlates. What do you think?
Mm.
Is that a fit or a misfit, Julianne?
Yep, sounds like a fit.
Okay, let's look at the next thing. Um, he did English at Cambridge, and there's Gemini in the third. So that fits for me. Um, his Mercury is conjunct his Sun. No, it's not. It's too wide to be conjunct his Sun. The Mercury is in the 11th. But the Gemini in the third, that's good enough for being interested, at least interested in language and linguistics. At uni, the Jupiter is now in the 7th. He met his wife at uni, who is also Dutch. So having a wife with a like a foreign nationality would I'd expect to see either Sagittarius or Jupiter in the 7th house. What's interesting is that when we looked at one of the other Dow's times uh, yesterday, the chart that we were mainly focusing on showed an aspect between Venus and Jupiter. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
It was a sextile, yeah. And that could have meant that the Jupiter or Sag didn't need to be in the 7th because the the meaning, if you like, could be coming from the aspect.
Mm.
But in this chart, there isn't an aspect between Venus or Jupiter. So for there to be a foreign element in his commitment relationship, it has to be either Jupiter or Sag in the 7th,
Mm.
because that's quite a significant trait. You know, it's not a triviality that someone's got family in a different country, come from a different country, and they're in a different culture. That's a big thing in someone's life. So I'm quite happy with that, thinking about the implications of it. Another thing that's interesting is that this birth time is showing Jupiter opposing the Saturn, and that also suggests that his career, his work, can stir the cauldron a little bit in terms of dealing with religion. So we know, as in that listening, that he had a chat with the Pope, and he said to a journalist that his work as a politician clashes with his religious life to the extent that it causes issues or problems in his home background. Okay. Now, the Pluto in this chart is in the sixth house of relationship with work colleagues. So this suggests that there are behind the scenes power plays, possibly treacheries, possibly betrayals, possibly skullduggeries between him and work colleagues in some kind of way. Yeah. What do you think that quitting to be mayor, basically asking a friend to quit so that it forces a by-election, and then going into that by-election almost on a ticket of saying, if you vote for me in this by-election, I'll be your next prime minister, as a given, without the contest. Do you think that's manoeuvring?
Certainly, yeah.
What do you think, Julianne? I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just asking, is it manoeuvring? Manoeuvring with good intent is different to manoeuvring with nefarious intent. But is it just manoeuvring without putting an opinion on it?
Yes, I'd agree. It's manoeuvring.
It's definitely strategic.
Mm.
It's definitely strategic. And that's plutonic.
Yeah.
The intent and all that kind of thing is another issue. That's some opinions. But the Pluto in the sixth does show that he would do that in relationship with work colleagues. I don't know enough about his life as a man over the last few years. I don't know how he's been conducting himself or what he's been doing. I don't know what he was like as a health minister or something. All we've got is dates when he became things, but we haven't got descriptions of, was he liked, was he disliked, was he frowned upon, were people frightened of him, was he controlling? We haven't got any of that info. So we've got no other Pluto information other than Pluto is a planet of complexity and plans things like military strategies. And we've got strategy writ large in a goldfish bowl. So for me, that fits with the sixth house. And there might also be, or there could have been, skullduggerous maneuvers from work colleagues towards him. He might be the victim of skullduggeries, not necessarily the perpetrator. So there's that as well. There could be his work environment could be like a soap opera with people maneuvering and power playing all over the place. That's probably a description of the House of Commons. Really. Yeah, but it would fit. Right. Let's see anything else we've got before we look at transits and things. This driving thing, this speeding thing. There isn't an aspect between his Mercury and his Mars. I can't really see driving. The only thing I can see in this that suggests that someone might be a bit zippy in the way they move around is the Aries ascendant.
Yeah.
There isn't a Mars or Aries here in the third, and Mercury isn't in aspect to his Mars. But having an Aries ascendant, that can be all you need really to go at the
Yeah.
world with a bit being a bit quick. That's kind of it. This Uranus over here it's in Libra in the seventh here. His second leadership bid was more successful than the first one. Like I said, he came second out of four people.
Fourth, I think.
No, in the first one it was fourth in 2010. In the
Oh, I see.
2015
Yes.
one, he came second. Yeah, Keir Starmer beat him to it. And he became mayor after that. So the Uranus in Libra in the seventh does suggest that he's been wanting to redress balances and kind of put injustices correct and right things. So I know that the Hillsborough law has been a real big thing that he's talked about a lot. Likewise, the infected blood thing, and so there's a strong sense of justice that comes out of it, and that's quite indicative of the Uranus placement. What do you think, Julianne? Is this a snug fit?
I'd say it's pretty close.
Yeah. What's missing?
I've just got this feeling.
Mm.
Don't know.
What's the feeling?
As you just said that there's something missing.
No, I didn't say there's something missing. I asked what's missing, just to see if there was anything missing.
Okay. So when he was when he went into Parliament, when he and all those dates. Do you want to check a few more dates a bit further down?
Yeah, we already have. We've gone through the list in terms of astrobiography, and
Okay.
houses. We haven't looked at the transits yet, but there's no point in looking at the transits until we're sure we got this right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Do you understand the reason for that? But
Yes.
what we're doing
Yeah.
here
It
is
makes sense to.
we're getting the wheel correct. You see, Sue. So in order to get the wheel correct, we need to make sure that all the things on here can be found in the birth chart as potentials. See, the only thing that doesn't jump out as an immediate thing is the speeding thing in relationship to his moving. Mind you, if he had, as an example, if he had Mars in the third or Mars in aspect to Mercury, he'd dash around all the time. There used to be a student in Pro 6, Julianne, you may remember, who had Mercury square Mars.
Yes, I do remember.
Yeah, and that person used to drive quickly on a regular occasion.
Yes.
Yeah, rather than it being a one-off.
Yeah, it was, yes, all
Yeah,
all the time.
yeah. So if
Mm.
if if he had Mars in the third or Aries in the third, that wouldn't be just one speeding ticket. It would be one amongst many. So the fact that he has only got one rather than loads does kind of, yeah, go with the fact that,
Okay.
yeah. And to get a an English degree at Cambridge, Gemini in the third is a snug fit for that.
Okay.
I'd either have Gemini there or move the wheel around so that Mercury's in his third.
Okay.
Um, but then if you do that, you lose out on the Jupiter being in the seventh house, which does need to be there. Yeah, yeah, I think this could be it. It gives him a 10th house sun as well. So there's that, not just sun in Capricorn ambition, but 10th house sun ambition to climb, which can't be ignored, really, because this is his third attempt at getting to the top of the hill. And so he fell down and then he got back up and he had another go. And he got better, come second, so now he's having another go. That's quite indicative of a sun in Capricorn, but it's also indicative of a sun in the 10th as well. So that fits. Yeah. Okay. I think this is the right chart.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very close. I mean, a lot of people are using 12 noon. I know it's only 8 minutes difference, but it kind of feels right to have doused it and then to verify the dowsing. Let's have a quick look at the aspects to the mid-aven and the ascendant, because they quite often reveal things. So I'll tell you what some of these things mean. Have you seen much of Andy Burnham on screen?
I haven't, David.
No? Okay.
No.
So even if someone listed out traits, you wouldn't be able to match them to what you know because you don't know anything. Right.
I only know a little. No.
Yeah. Okay.
I've seen him on screen. I know he looks like, and I know he's very popular. So
Yeah. But these wouldn't look at his popularity, look at his character traits.
yeah.
So you need some Andy Burnham history to be able to match the traits to the person. And if you haven't got those, then I've got scant Andy Burnham history. I remember him from when he was in Gordon Brown's government. Yeah. He was health minister for a while. See, that fits with his 6th house as well. Having Virgo there.
Can I just
And
ask?
also the blood thing as well. Yeah. Yep.
Is he going what Sue said? He's popular. Is he popular with the general public as well as his own party?
Mainly up in Manchester where he was the mayor.
Right.
I was coming from.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So he's popular. He's popular with the people that have had professional dealings with him. So by that I mean because he was serving the people of Manchester, he did good things for them, so they liked him.
Mm.
He hasn't done that with the whole island yet, so the whole island doesn't know him.
Right.
He was popular enough as a mayor of Manchester that when he stood for the MP in Makefield, he completely thrashed reform.
Yeah, I knew that bit.
Yeah. So all those people voted Labour, even though Keir Starmer is cited as a very unpopular prime minister. So normally in a by-election, if people don't like the government of the day, they use it as a protest vote. And they go Green or Lib Dem or Reform or something like that, just to kind of throw mud at the government. But they didn't do that with Andy Burnham. They voted in such a way that they would make sure that he got in to keep reform out, but also knowing that it would be a stepping stone for him to become prime minister as well. So if he was unpopular, they would have all voted for something else, whatever that something else is, to stop him from becoming prime minister. But they did the opposite of that. They voted in such a way that it would open the door, which suggests that he has generated a sense of popularity in that population since 2017.
Yeah.
That doesn't tell us what he will be, if he will be favoured in Chelsea, Didcot, and Taunton.
Mayfair.
Yeah, Mayfair and Edinburgh. But it tells us that in the little piece of Ireland that he had jurisdiction over, boy did good. There's Leo on the 6th for being chummy and popular with his workmates, and there's a 10th house sun, which is, he could be seen as a solar light, chummy, friendly. And there's the moon there as well. So he would also seem familiar to people, like his boy next door sort of thing. And there's Venus there as well, so he would also seem to be charming and personable and quite elegant, really, you know, as well as sporty and fit, with the Mars in the 12th. Very compassionate, this suggests, doing lots of things on behalf of others. Yeah. Okay. Should we look at the astrology of these years to see if
Yeah.
they fit as well? Yep. Okay. I'm going to get these things together. It's going to take 5 or 10 minutes, right? So we can carry on chatting while I'm doing that. But I'm going to put the recording on pause for a moment while I do that. Okay? If you can really be kind and remind me to switch the recording back on when we resume. All right. Right. So let's have a look at these years and see what we can find. Okay. The first one,
Okay.
this is, sorry, what was that, Julia?
I just said okay.
Oh, right. I thought you said, oh, like you sounded startled. Uh, right. Can you see that, my friends?
Yes, we can see it. I
Yeah.
can see.
This is the year
I can see it.
2000, the year that he got married. We don't know when he got married, of course, that which would help. But it's a very Jupiter year, isn't it? Look at all this Jupiter stuff all down the middle here.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Even the couple of Saturn transits, and they're not bad. Saturn to the Sun is quite indicative of somebody having a substantial identity. Saturn to Mars, that's a lot of joy. Saturn to the Node, it feels like it's the right path. Saturn to Venus, it would feel like things are in the right place. Saturn to the part of fortune, a lot of joy in the air. Saturn trying the Pluto, he could be feeling that he's, you know, uh, got a lot of personal empowerment. It's a pretty cool year. All right. The next one, next 2001, he became an MP on the 7th of June and he'd spoke in the Commons for the first time on the 4th of July. So we're looking at June and July. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
June and July. That's here and here. So that's quite a significant thing. Pluto square his node. That would be a tumultuous year when profound things take place. The only other thing happening at the beginning of June when he became an MP, quick looking in, it was the 7th of June, is this Neptune, trine his Uranus. Do you remember in the chart in that it places Uranus in his seventh?
Yeah.
And so Neptune transits can be sort of a mixture of, when they're trines, they can be a mixture of some kind of divine hand or the fates being involved. It can be a bit like a dream state, almost like a dream come true. Life can be a bit idealistic, you know. It's like everything becomes like a romantic symphony. And that's happening to his Uranus, which is in the seventh house. So I think, yeah, ideologically, that would have been a really good time, that June and that July as well, with the rumblings of that Pluto to his node. So he was transforming his life path. He was changing. So that fits. 2006, Minister for Health. That began in May. Oh, right. There's a lot here for the May that year. Jupiter's trine his node. Pretty much bang on the moment. That would be significant for his life path, trajectory, his life path. Jupiter trine his sun, he'd be in a renewed, revamped identity. There's the Saturn to his Uranus, so he's got a kind of professional way of living out his humanitarian ideologies. Jupiter's trine is Mars. He'd have drive. Not everything's plain sailing though. Pluto square the part of fortune. He could be bumping into challenges, issues, obstacles, delays, and things of a grumpy nature. Really. What else we got? Hold on. My thing's gone different. There we go. Uranus to the moon. That's more personal life stuff. He could have felt a bit dissociated, missing home a bit. Likewise, the Venus. But they're not bad transits. They're just, slightly Uranian. And the Uranus to his node. He could have felt like this is a path that he wouldn't have contemplated before. But he's on a health path. And I do remember he's got that Pluto in Virgo in his sixth. So being health minister would have suited that. Yeah. Okay. I think that correlates. The leadership bid, the failed bid around the 23rd of September, wasn't it? The results came out. And there's Uranus opposing his Pluto. So he's having problems with his sense of personal power. Hold on, this is 2010. Yeah, 23rd of September 2010. And I thought we found something that, yeah, there we go. It's Jupiter square his midhaven. So he would have felt like he didn't reach the top. Even though he's got all these Jupiter transits, they're not necessarily favourable for, doing a leadership bid. The contest would have taken place around June, July and August with the results in September. So these Saturn transits were in place. Well, Saturn was opposing his Chiron. Saturn was also square his midhaven. It wasn't looking good, really. No. Let's have a look at the next one. 2015, I believe. Yeah. This is the year that he urged the Pope to be more progressive. And he admitted to a journalist that religious issues were incompatible with his role as a politician. So where's that in here? There's a part of it. Uranus square the sun. So Uranus, its ideologies are clashing or mismatching with his sense of personal identity, or his sense of personal identity is clashing with his ideologies. We don't know when the meeting with the Pope was, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if it was around here with this stack of things all happening. Yeah, anything in there about relationships. There's a Jupiter to Venus, but it's all right. Jupiter to the node, towards the end of the year, could have felt like he's on the wrong path in some kind of way. The Jupiter to opposing is Mars, he could have felt like a bit lackluster, really, towards the end of the year. But that's not reported, so we can't comment on it. 2017, this was his final act of Parliament, was in April, but in May he became Mayor of Manchester, and that became a success. So April is the year that he did his last act in Parliament. Yes, Saturn square his part of fortune and square his Pluto at that time. And Jupiter was square his sun as well. But these do not indicate a problem with becoming mayor. So this month here is when he became mayor, in June. Is that right? Just check. No, in May. He became mayor in May. Oh, right, okay. So his last act of Parliament fits with these changes of the Saturn transits. And then becoming mayor, the Neptune conjunct his North Node. So if Neptune is like a dream state, a planet of ideals and healing, although he's not in an MP anymore, the Neptune conjunct his node suggests that he goes on a different path, following a more his own tune as it were. So as mayor, he had more of a free rein in terms of policy. As an MP, you have to follow the party line, whatever the party line happens to be. You have to, whatever's decided around the cabinet, that's what you're going to be talking about on the TV stations that week. But when you're mayor, you're in charge. And that suited him better. So he could follow his path, his heart, really. And there's Neptune making a conjunction to the node. So I think that timing fits with that Neptune conjunct the node. What do you think, Julianne?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah? Okay. The driving speed happened in March 2023. Pluto's conjunct is Mercury. That's pretty good for having a tyrannical authority put the brakes on your mobility. Yep. There's Saturn making a square to his Neptune. That would have been for the whole month as well. So, reaping the harvest. Jupiter was square his sun as well. So he could have felt very undignified. Could have felt a bit of a chump, to put it that way, during that period. And there's Uranus making a sextile to his Mars. So that was in the air for a year. That would have been in the air from May 2022 all the way around until the end of May 2023. There was a potential for him to react out of character and drive faster than he normally would. More than likely, some form of external prompted him to do it. We don't know what that is, but I would bet 50p that it wasn't just his own volition. There was something happening in the world around him, or someone in the world around him, that was somehow pressuring him to put his foot down a bit. Whether that was being late for something or a meeting or something was happening, I would think. Because typical, wherever there's a Uranus transit, the person believes that they're acting on their own volition, whereas in actual fact, there's some kind of unconscious dynamic that involves something or someone else on the outside that's prompting the behaviors. Like a deadline to get a hand in a paper or something like that. Right, let's have a look at now then, 2026. So the Makerfield by-election was in June. And there's Pluto square his Jupiter. So he ran a risk. Neptune's conjunct the ascendant. That's nice for a new pathway. A new dreamlike pathway of, the gods opening the doors. That's how it would feel. Neptune conjunct his Chiron. It's a very profound healing thing that he's experiencing. And the Chiron's in the first house. Saturn's opposing his Uranus. Not everything is completely hunky-dory. There are some of his fellow MPs that are with it, and there are some MPs who are not with it at all. They are against it, and there's a mix. The Saturn square the moon, that's missing home. Hence, partly wanted to transfer number 10 up to Manchester. So instead of bringing, if home is where the heart is, instead of transferring his heart to London, he's taken some of the real estate of London back up to Manchester. But there is Saturn square the moon, so there's a home thing. I think he feels really comfortable in Manchester, much more so than London with that. The Saturn square the Venus, there might be some self-worth challenges, which he could rise to. Then again, he might not. I think it'd be interesting to see how his wife deals with it as well. That'll play an important factor in what happens. The 17th of July is when he could become PM, and all of those things are still in play, including Jupiter trine the ascendant. So that's that always coincides with a new chapter in life, a new start, a brand new thing. Jupiter square the Sun He's going to find he hasn't got much time for leisure. It'll be lots of work and no play. Jupiter's trying his Chiron. Chiron's in the first house, and so that will go through like a buoyancy. Jupiter square Jupiter. There will come a point in the middle of July where he's actually going to think, have I done the right thing? Have I bitten off more than I could chew? Can I keep up with this? It's a short-lived fortnight, but a fortnight is a long time in transits. Right. What do you think then? Any thoughts, feelings, conclusions, intuitions, vibes?
Yeah, I think this is, quite accurate, really.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
Fits quite well, doesn't it?
Yeah, what do you think, Julianne?
Yeah, I'm on of the same opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. Right. Okay, so we've got an Andy Burnham chart. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I think that was a very good thing to do, having more than one person dowsing and then checking each chart against the biography to see what fits and what doesn't. Has this helped in you being able to kind of think of a chart as a life structure and then see how the life structure matches the actual events in a person's life? And you notice that turning that wheel means it's a snug fit or it's well out. Has that helped you to kind of understand the function of the houses or the astrobiography timeframes a bit more?
Yeah, certainly for me, in the past I've just observed you doing it, and now I understand it more.
Yeah,
And if I had the software, I'd probably have a little play with that, sort of with somebody else's, etc. Because it's
right.
a very handy thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. What about you, Julianne? What have you got from these two sessions as an astrology student?
yeah. I will at some point ask you for a refresh on how to use the solar fire, because I do think what you've done today is incredibly useful.
Yeah,
And yes, looking at the house in this kind of way is different to normal classes. So yeah, I've learned something.
well, yeah, yeah. I know that when we in classes we're exploring one house at a time. That's essentially what we're doing, just to get ourselves kind of acquainted with the components of a chart. So here we're looking at what happens when you get those components and you put them into a narrative,
Yeah,
and that's the difference. So we'd have explored in a class Mars in, well, we do with mine, explored Mars in Pisces to the nth degree over 7 classes. That's 21 hours just looking at Mars in Pisces. Well, with the aspects
yes,
and the houses and all the rest of it. Whereas here, you've got that substance in the back of your mind. It might not be consciously available, but it's in there, you know. So it makes it easier to kind of go, oh, right, okay, so there's this event that happened. So I'm looking for something that signifies that. But it has to signify in the time frame as well, you know. So, for example, if you think that he's very athletic, very sporty, and you look at the Mars in Pisces, and you think, oh, Mars in Pisces isn't sporty. Mars in Pisces is diffused energy, not focused energy, right? And the Mars is in the 12th, and you think, oh, 12th, it's even more Piscean. That's a bit lackluster. It's just like having a feeble willow tree, you know. It's hardly a mighty oak. Until or unless you know about the Michel Gauquelin studies. And knowing about the Gauquelin studies and the fact that a lot of athletes have Mars in the 12th, now suddenly the fact that Mars is in his 12th is indicative of the chart matching his life. but only if you know about the Gawkland studies. So having a wide knowledge base helps. Yeah, yeah. So it's useful, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mm.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. See, in terms of whether or not he could actually be a prime minister, has he got the is it in his chart, right? Well, a sun in Capricorn in the 10th, yeah, you know. But then what kind of prime minister? What would his legacy be? Well, having Capricorn on the 10th, he would be a good leader with rules, so the possibility of him being corrupt is really minimal.
Well,
Right?
that's
Yeah. There's also the moon in the 10th, and that's been really for the people, you know. Uh, so I, he doesn't just kind of feel that he is for the people or say it. I think he's congruent with it, you know. The Venus in the 10th suggests that there's an easygoing, affable manner to him. He's not airs and graces, but he's also very kind of pleasing to be around, nice guy, sort of thing. Do you remember when we looked at Robert Plant's? We found that Robert Plant had, I think it was Mars, Moon in Pisces, trine Venus. Remember that? And
yes, I do.
I said there's something about him that makes women go all gooey, even in a stadium, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
indeed.
and he hasn't quite got that, but he's got a little trace of it.
Right.
And the Sun in Capricorn is just that's excellent leader material. His Mars in the Pisces in the 12th is again fighting on behalf of others. Remember that anything in the 12th house is given away or serves us best when we do it on behalf of others. So when he fights his own battles, he becomes a cropper. But when he fights on behalf of other people, he actually makes headway and he makes a difference. And having Mars
Oh,
in Pisces in the 12th, both together, means he's definitely a person of service. The Pluto in Virgo in the 6th is very Virgoan, if you think about that. And so again, his soul path is to be of service. He can't just do a job. He's got to do a job that benefits others in some way. And he's also got to be very good at what he does as well. So he learns, which is useful. The
and
the Cancer on the 4th suggests that he's soft and vulnerable at home, which is probably a good place for Cancer to be. That again, that Gemini on the 3rd, there's an intellect at play. The Taurus on the 2nd suggests he has a love of nature. So that's good for any kind of eco things, you know. If there's I don't know, net zero debate or something, it could be quite in favour of nature. That Saturn in the 1st, I think, is also useful in terms of the, the political side of him, because not only could he have a reputation for being kind of sound, as it were, but he could come across as being sound as well. So when you meet him, it's not just what people say, it's what you find. You know, being sound is a very good Saturn phrase. I like the fact that Jupiter shows up in the seventh scene as his wife is Dutch. I think that's really
yeah,
important. That's very important indeed. Uh, and it also suggests that he likes to do things in partnership. He's in his Uranus life phase now. And that Uranus in Libra in the seventh suggests that he wouldn't be an isolationist. One of the complaints about I think about Boris, about Starmer to an extent, and Theresa May as well, was that the MPs couldn't get to him. They'd kind of fenced themselves off with advisors, and then you couldn't actually get to speak to the person in charge. So the MPs got frustrated because they had messages and questions and things, and it was like they were all blanked out, you know. I don't think he's going to be quite like that. I think he might be a bit more easy to access and therefore a little bit more open, maybe even flexible or open to change. He can change his mind when he's shown a logical argument that will sway him. But you've got to be very logical with your argument. The Neptune in the eighth, you can read that in a number of ways. You know, if we think of him as a Catholic for a minute, then Neptune in the eighth house could suggest that he's spooked by the occult. This would freak him out. Would it freak him out? Because it's the unseen and the unknown, and it's not godly. Yeah. Another thing about that is that he could bury any propensity for drugs and alcohol. So I think the chances of him spaffing red wine up the wall, to quote Boris, in number 10 is remote. I was just saying, Sue, that I think that this set of planets in Capricorn up here in the 10th, plus these planets here in the 12th, you put those two together and you've got a person who is unlikely to become corrupt.
Yeah.
Because they're such an idealist.
Yeah.
So I think that's all right, actually. The aspects, look at these here. There's some squares floating about. Mercurial squares. All right, that's interesting. For someone to go to Cambridge and do English, and there's Mercury square Jupiter and square Saturn, he had to work really hard to get that. You know, I often say that if someone's got, say, Mercury in Capricorn or Capricorn in the third, Saturn in the third, that kind of thing, when they're at school, they can feel that they've got so much pressure to do well that they either excel and are brilliant because they're terrified of failure, or they do nothing because if you don't run the race, you can't be seen to lose, sort of thing. So they do no homework and they avoid it as much as possible. And obviously, to get an English degree at Cambridge, you must have gone down the excel route rather than the avoidant route. But the Mercury to the Saturn suggests then that there's always that hangover of script writing, even if someone is an author for a living or a professor or a teacher, and they've got some kind of Mercury Saturn vibe. They can be brilliant at communicating, yet still nervous of being misunderstood. And that means that they would check and double check what they're saying. You know, they're having a propensity to write scripts before they speak because they're frightened of saying the wrong thing. No, this kind of thing. And he's got that, which suggests that the chance of him sitting on the loo at 3 a.m. writing crazy text on a social media platform are remote. He would at least have them fact checked before he presses send. So I don't think he's going to turn into Trump. The Uranus to his Sun and the Moon and the Venus. These are interesting because this Uranus, remember, Julianne, that the seventh house is what we disown.
Yes.
Yeah. So to a certain extent, a part of him sort of doesn't know how much of a maverick he is. You know? But that Uranus is square his Sun and square his Moon, which suggests that there's a part of him that feels a bit like a misfit. He doesn't quite fit. He doesn't quite, as mayor, he didn't quite fit into the, if he went to a Labour conference, he wasn't quite one of the gang because he was in his own gang, the gang of mayor, right? He wasn't in the Parliamentary Labour Party at conference, and he wasn't a candidate at conference. He was in this other place of being mayor. And when he's, in the Catholic world, he doesn't quite fit because he supports human rights no matter how a person chooses to love. And that's not fit in with the Catholic view. Then again, at the same time, he's not quite fitting with that community because he's a Catholic in that community. So that's not quite fitting either, you know. So there's a part of him that is a bit of an outsider in many contexts. And at the same time, like, did you know that he plays football sometimes? He's done charity football things and stuff. But his big thing when he was younger was rugby. So when you think of working class lad, you know, from Manchester, Liverpool, that kind of area, if they're going to do a sport, you immediately think football, right? Not rugby. Rugby, you're thinking more prep school or something, right? But rugby was his big thing. And he's done marathons as well. So how many, when you think politician, do you think marathon runner? Is that one of the images that comes to mind for you? That
No,
a
no.
politician would excel in multiple sports, not just one. You know. So again, that's another kind of dynamic of him that's a misfit, and that Uranus is making a quadrinovale to Mars. You know, so he's highly competitive and sporty when he has a focus. You know, and he fell down first time he ran up the mountain. He was fourth out of four. Terrible. Not even bronze. Right. That's worse than both Milliband's, right? And so he had another go, and that time he got past base camp one, but he fell down again. He was picked at the post by Starla. So now he's having another go. That is so Saturnian. You know, that drive, that persistent drive to just
Never
keep
give
at it
up.
and keep at it and keep at it, and eventually
Yeah.
you'll get there. Yeah, yeah. Albeit his Mars is in the 12th, so there's a compassion about him as well. Yeah, yeah. I've actually warmed to him a bit, you know, doing this. Yeah, I like that. Right. I think we've had a good old nosy about, don't you? Yeah, yeah. Right. How's all this been for you
Yeah.
guys? Have you enjoyed it?
Yes, I have. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, me too. Thank you.
Good, good. Right. I'll do a little bit of clever editing over the next few days, or maybe tonight, and I'll post it up on YouTube, and I'll send you a link when it's there. All right. And
Lovely.
I'll block out the videos, and I'll also do that slightly edit that Sue might like as well. As well, just
Yeah.
to yeah, decorum and dignity. Yeah, right. But thank you for joining me doing this, because
Thank you.
you know, it's a lot of fun doing it with people.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah, not so much fun on your own.
well, no, so I mean, you know, I haven't, I have, I think I've got, I must have done Cami Badenoch last year because I looked and I've got a chart with a time. And likewise, they're Davy as well. But yeah, I'm actually, I don't want to do other people in reform. I've done Farage because of the phenomena, you know. But there's something about some of these reform people that give me a funny feeling in my tummy, and I actually don't want to look. I will if I have to. If they become prominent, we'd have to, because you got to know thine enemy and all that kind of thing. But that'd be the only reason, to kind of warn people, you know. But not joyful, not a
So
joyful.
Julie needs to get going. Julie
Yeah.
Ann.
You do well.
Yeah,
We're
I'm
all
gonna
going
have
to
to
do that.
go.
Okay. I'm going to
Okay.
pop a bit of music on at the end because I'm just so used to doing that. But you take care. I shall see you very soon. And thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Bye.
Thank you
Thanks,
for your
David.
company. See
Bye.
you soon.
Bye.
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 Thank you for watching this fascinating window onto life through this fine and ancient art of astrology. And there's more content on here to explore. And why don't you like and subscribe to the channel if you find yourself wondering, who is this guy, or who is the person presenting this? Please check out the primary welcome to the channel. It talks about my background and master's degrees and more than 35 years experience as a practitioner and teacher of astrology. Until next time, I wish you peace and good health, and take very good care of you. Bye bye.